notice What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. A little bit different Tuesday, all the way from Australia. SwitchDoctorAU. How you doing?
I'm good. It's nice, sort of. Oh no, it's actually pretty overcast out there today. I was going to say it's a nice day, but maybe not. But yeah, no, doing well.
Dude, what are those? We haven't had a nice day in weeks.
It's nice. It got nice after it's rained most of the day.
But it was still humid.
Yeah.
It felt like Houston. And if you guys know what Houston's like, you know it sucks. Shade thrown. I'll fight you. Dallas represent.
Yeah, it's been very rainy and stormy here. It's like it sucks because it's been like decent during the week, and then all of a sudden it hits Friday, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna rain all weekend.
Just poor. Fun. God, it's just been rough. How are you, man?
I'm good.
Good. Guys, we got Switch Doctor all the way from the other side of the planet. This is officially our furthest interview.
Nice.
We tried to get Wilba on once, but of course, you know, scheduling. That's why we're doing this on Tuesday. So thank you for being flexible with us, and good morning, I should say to you.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you don't know who Switch Doctor is, ! Guest. She does a stream, a couple streams a week. I know lots of information about switches, lots of awesome builds. So welcome to Mechs on Deck.
Thank you.
So before we get started, quick shout out to our awesome sponsors and partners. We've got OmniType, Project Keyboards, Canon Keys, and Kinetic Labs, as well as our partners Zap Cables, Type B, Smith & Rune, and 3D Cubes. We'll hear more from them later. Starting off with the Fast Four, probably the difficult one, because you are the Switch Doctor. Top 4 favorite switches.
Oh god, so this is really hard for me because I have lots of switches that I enjoy using, but as to saying absolute favorite, so it's probably going to be like 4 that I enjoy, not like, you know, 1 is the best. But I like creams. I've got them in my constellation. Big fan of H1s. They're probably my favorite JWK switch currently. What else do I like? Holy Pandas. I've got Holy Pandas in my squids, so they're pretty solid. Or U4Ts. They're pretty good as well as another alternative. So that's probably 4. Yeah. We'll go with those.
There it is. Solid mix and match.
Bit of linear, bit of tactile.
It's nice. It's nice to hear a variation between the two. I feel like a lot of people we get on are like hard linear or hard tactile. More often hard linear.
Yeah. I can kind of like either or is fine. I like having all my boards ideally with different switches, so each time I swap them out, it's a different experience. That's the idea anyway. So yeah.
It makes having a lot of boards feel a little bit less crazy when you have them all feel a little bit different.
Justify it.
Yeah. But speaking of switches, what are your top 4 keycap sets to go on said switches?
Oh, okay. So I just got Taro R2 off someone, so that's probably one of my favorite sets at the minute. I've got DMG, which also huge fan of. 8008, I'm pretty happy like that one. And what else do I like? What have I got? I picked up Ursa recently as well, off someone else, so I'm going to pop that on my bear because I figure that's a nice, good match to the theme. So yeah, I'm pretty keen to use that. Probably those.
There you go. And speaking of the bear, which is a keyboard, we're just keeping the synergy up. Top 4 favorite keyboards.
Yeah. So at the moment, I think because I've got the 7V recently, it's like the shiny new thing. So top 2, or first place would probably tie between that and the Prophet. Huge fan of the Prophet just because it's light and portable, easy to swap out builds really quickly. So yeah, those 2 are probably the top 2. And then I've got Constellation I'm a huge fan of, and the Squid 60. That's a really nice tactile build, so gotta say Squid.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I love that board. It's just back there, chilling.
There you go.
Hey, it looks clean. And that was one of the I try and watch as best as I can if I am alerted. I try and watch all of the Squid 60 builds, as I feel like I have a obligation to watch them. So, and I'm glad that I didn't sell like 9,000 like the 7V, or else all my time would be taken up watching film streams.
Yeah, Gok was in my stream last Sunday and he's like, "Is the title right? You built a 7V last weekend." And I was like, yeah, this is my one this time. I got really lucky with an extra. Key Noob is pointing out the fact that my profit has razor greens in it. Yes, it does. Sometimes.
Hell yeah.
It's a meme.
Hey, there you go. There you go. And speaking of squid,
it's better than you think.
Speaking of squid, some enjoy it in the fried variety, such as calamari, as some people call it. What is your top 4 favorite foods?
I'd probably put near the top something that I always get when I go out for dinner, a chicken parmigiana. I don't know, do you guys do chicken parmigiana in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So good old Parma. That's my favorite go-to, pretty much default. What else? Chocolate, just chocolate in general has to be on there. Other 2. Let's think. I just like food in general.
It's
You
great.
can never pass up donuts.
Ooh.
Obviously, I like sweet food. And then the last one, I'd probably put cheese. Cheese is pretty solid. Goes with a lot of things. So yeah, a lot
Including
of stuff
chicken
that doesn't
parmesan.
agree with my gut. Yeah. Yeah, good old Parmas.
Yeah.
That might be the most like open-ended, not vague, but not in a bad way. But like it's like I just like chocolate and I like donuts and I like most people are like I like this specific dish that this one place makes. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm glad you're very particular. Like I'm relatively particular, but yeah, I'm here. I just like cheese and chocolate, baby. Let's go.
Hey, you know,
Easily pleased.
one of the guys that I work with, he can't have gluten. Like he's like
He
basically
he actually has celiac disease.
Well, he's not celiac, but the doctors are basically like, if stopping eating gluten makes you not get sick, cool.
Yep.
So he doesn't eat gluten, and the one thing that he's like they can't get right is donuts. Can't get gluten-free donuts right. And he's like everything else they can make it work. It's good enough. But donuts can't do it.
Although having said that, there's a store near where I live, conveniently on the way back from work or to work, and they sell gluten-free stuff pretty much only, and their donuts are actually not that bad. They're not that bad.
My wife's made really good gluten-free donuts. They're closer to a cake donut.
That's the thing. He's like, they're all cake donuts.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well then, yeah, it is definitely difficult to get that like airy, fluffy, donut. So, well, guys, again, I'm gonna hit it in the chat, !guest. Go give her a follow. When do you usually stream?
So at the moment,
I will try and translate times as best as I can.
Yeah. So I'm going to be streaming tonight at 6:00 Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that'll probably be pretty late for you guys.
Yes, that would be like.
Yeah.
It's a little early. It might be like 7 in the morning.
Hey, drive to work.
Yeah. And Saturday evenings at same time, 6:00. That's at the moment it's kind of like a group buy review stream, but I might look at doing that fortnightly depending on how much stuff is happening in a week. So I think last week was a little bit light on. So trying to figure out how that's going to work exactly. And then I typically do a build stream on Sunday mornings at 11 o'clock. So that works out being a pretty good time for
Saturday nights. It's a hot time.
Yeah.
Especially in the last year. Yeah. So you, how long have you been streaming? Because you're not new.
Oh, yeah.
You've been around the block a few times on Twitch.
Yeah, so I started probably seriously streaming in November. So yeah, probably about 6 months now, I guess. And just hit the 500 followers recently, so that's pretty exciting. Yeah. I did not expect that to happen. So yeah, just seeing where it goes. But it's been really good. It's helped with the build service side of things as well. So people can actually see what I'm doing and know that I'm not bullshitting them when I say I can build their boards. So I guess that's handy. But yeah, no, it's been really good. Keep the team baby stream, says Keep Noob. Yeah. Baby streamers unite. We're pretty close to each other with followers and stuff as well with Keep Noob and I. So we're racing each other.
who will be the next partner. I feel like we've got
Yeah,
so many partnered streamers now in
Which
keyboards. It's crazy.
we
congrats to
do.
Stray
Yeah.
Chroma.
Yeah.
Oh
Also,
yeah,
Stray
100%.
Chroma getting the partner. Congrats on that one. So the one thing that I was seeing there. I was driving to go pick up Chipotle today because this week is just, for those who don't know, this is my last week of work for 2 months. So this week is just a haze.
The hardest week of
But
the year.
it is. It's actually, last week's the hardest week because this week, at least like the lights at the end of the tunnel. But like
Yep.
last week, you're like, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
But what are the challenges of living? Because like back when we started in 2018, in 2017, 2018, it was sorry, I need to snooze my Windows update so it doesn't just cut me out of the stream because Windows.
Fantastic
Um,
timing.
it was difficult to get stuff. It was just hard. If you weren't shopping at KBD Fans, then you were either waiting for something to hopefully become in stock. You could get like Gatorons, but in terms of keyboards, it was really hard to get stuff. And here in the US, we've got multiple stores now, multiple vendors offering lots of things. And I know that Australia does have a vendor and a couple, but what are the challenges of living in Australia and that being kind of, I mean, you are on an island on the other side of the
Yeah.
planet from a lot of the stuff.
Hey, Tempest. Yeah, so we do have a few vendors. Like we've got probably the biggest would be Daily Clack and Switch Keys. And then there's a bunch of smaller ones that are coming up, and like All Caps, shout out All Caps. That's my only sponsor, but love him dearly. He's super helpful. So I've got to shield the sponsor. But yeah,
Always.
no, there's a lot of smaller vendors that are coming up and doing really well. So because the biggest challenge for us, I guess, is there's a lot of cool stuff that comes out. Yeah, there he is. There's a lot of cool stuff that comes out that to get it in Australia, like for example, getting stuff from Kinetic Labs is probably a good example, like their penguins and whatnot to try out. Shipping is a nightmare. So you pay a lot for it and then you're waiting a long time. So that's probably the hardest thing. So having vendors that are trying to get that new stuff in is really handy. Hey, Static Age, hope you're doing well. So yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge. We tend to get things later, or we have to be prepared to pay through the nose for shipping. So desk mats are a great example too. Like that, you end up spending more on shipping than the desk mat itself. So what sometimes we do is people will kind of get in on mini group buys to do big orders from stores in the US, so that to save on shipping and split it up amongst people. So that makes things a little bit easier. But yeah, it's probably the biggest challenge for sure.
And I know things have been crazy in the keyboard community as far as growth here in the States over the past like 2 years. What is the community like there? Like what has the growth been over the past like year since pandemic, and how has that like kind of
Yeah.
changed it? I imagine that's been even more difficult with getting things.
Yeah, so it's been interesting because well, I basically started off in the custom keyboard community probably November 20, what year are we in? 2021. So it was November 2019 probably. And back when I started, then I think it was, there was a couple of Australian streamers, and now that's kind of multiplied. So there's me and a few other people, which is pretty cool to see. And I feel like we've got a pretty good community going on, like through the Facebook group and the Discord servers and everything. But it definitely does feel like it's grown quite a lot. Like the demand for things has grown. There was a while there when it was probably everywhere had a bit of a shortage with lube, but it felt like it was a bit more of the case with us as well. So big waits between getting stuff, and yeah, but definitely does seem to be a lot more new people popping into the Discord servers and that, and the whole being at home side of things last year probably helped that a lot and got people into streaming as well. So it's been interesting seeing it grow. Particularly as like I still feel like I'm relatively new myself, only being in the hobby about a year now, so just over that. But yeah, it's been exciting.
Right. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, it's we talked about this a long time ago, and Eric brings this up from time to time about will we see a drop off of streamers once the world starts opening back up and people maybe have less time. I mean, because you think about, in I'll preach this all day long because Eric basically had to fucking scream at me to be like, let's stream on Twitch. I didn't like the idea of setting a time where it's like, okay, this time every single week you're
Yeah.
busy. You can't do, there have been times where it's like, oh, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, I know Monday or I know Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm busy. Like I just can't do anything. Like that's, it's part of, it's a job now essentially. And I got an asshole boss that just keeps on me and keeps on me. But it's interesting it'll be interesting to see how, like, moving forward, how, because with some certain mandates that we won't get into, but there are restrictions are being lifted, and how that affects kind of streaming overall, because we've seen a lot of growth in terms of not only just quantity of streamers, but also quality of streamers. There have been some people that have really risen to the top, and I think those people are totally fine. But the people that are maybe streaming once a week or every other week or whatever, are they going to continue to have this growth, or is the streaming community going to kind of not wither away, but just go?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to kind of gravitate to like the same handful of people.
I feel like the community in a whole is very supportive of new streamers, which is pretty cool. Because I feel like the growth I've had is like, I don't know what's normal, but I feel like it's been pretty good. And we seem to have this community of people, particularly in Australia, that go from Aussie streamer to Aussie streamer and support. And then we get the degens from your side of the world. So that certainly helps. But I think it's going to be interesting. I think the people who commit to streaming, like you said, multiple times a week and really kind of stick to that schedule, I think they'll probably be more likely to hang around unless they get back to work and it starts conflicting with everything. So I've definitely noticed that since I've kind of said, okay, I'm going to try and stream at the very least 2 times a week, but now I'm trying to do 3. I've noticed that has helped with the numbers I'm getting through streams and all of that. So, and the consistency as well has definitely helped. And we've got a couple of Aussies in chat. Cloudburst, how are you? And Voodoo Bear. Hello.
And Dicey No Don't.
Yeah.
Thank you for the 1 month sub for 10 months. The tier 1 sub for 10 months. And my first reading of that, because I like reading words weirdly at first, was Dick Why No Don't.
It may be.
Maybe it is Dick Why No Don't.
Love it.
For the I'll tell one of my, I think I've said this on stream before. I once asked, and like with 100% seriousness, what the fuck the word mahogany meant, and I was quickly reminded that it was the word mahogany, and it was a color.
Yeah.
So yeah,
or a type of wood,
or a type of wood,
depending on the context of the mahogany
the type. I feel like mahogany it's a type of color. So I mean, I guess it just depends on who you ask.
Yeah, it smells of rich mahogany.
It is a smell too. Sorry, way off topic.
So something I'm interested in, I was thinking about this the other day because this was a question that was asked to us back at when we did our like kind of year in review, and I'm kind of interested in knowing now from other keyboard streamers, what has been your favorite build and what has been the most painful or least favorite build that you've done since you started streaming?
I would say the most painful would have to be my Think 6.5 V2, just because that plate was so disgustingly tight and it just impractically so. And it's probably one of the reasons that when I realized I'd gotten the 7V, that I was so quick to yeet that to pay for it, because I was like, nah, I'm never rebuilding this thing. So that would probably be that. Best build would probably be, I'm gonna have to say the 7Vs, because they've both been a real pleasure to build. They've both sounded great, and also that new shiny feeling as well. So, but also with in particular the one I built personally for me last stream, because it was that celebration of hitting 500 followers. It was just a really cool stream in general, a lot of support. So yeah, really nice.
It's always fun getting that rewarding build. I don't remember what I know I can't remember if the canoe was this year or last year.
The canoe was 2020, and that was my least
Okay,
favorite
yeah.
build.
Because I know that one was we talk about that one a lot.
It's just same reason. Plate just annoyingly tight, like to the point where the
Yeah.
Switch was like being when I was putting it in the plate, it's getting shredded. Like edges of the Switch
Oh yeah, yeah.
are getting torn off, and I'm like, that is the most annoying thing. Like after that, Dave and I made the decision of like, we are basically gonna try to somewhat test build everything before
Yep.
we stream, so that way we know going in, is this going to be a pain in the ass?
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's like it just like nightmares of the TX75.
Yeah. I think it
That
close second for
was 2
worst
years
thing.
ago, but that was we were literally like clipping parts of the Switch off
Oh my god.
to
To try and get it to
get it
fit.
to slide
Oh
in, like
man.
because it was a 2-person effort.
And it was
Yeah.
during a 24-hour stream,
It
so
was
it's
at
not
like
like we could
3 in the morning.
hide.
Yeah, it's like you could be like, all right, we're just not going to do this.
Yeah.
It
We're
was
committed now. Couldn't do
it
it.
was a rough one. So what are also just of course shipping and all that, but commissions. I mean, there's obviously a smaller population in Australia
Yeah.
versus the US. There also comes maybe less competition of
Yeah.
having to deal with. But how's that?
It's been interesting. So basically, I started doing the commission side of things before I started streaming, and then I thought it would be cool to do this at the same time. And because there was already some established people doing that in the community, so we've got Hong Hobbies. He does a lot of switch lubing, and this is kind of like the Aussie switch lubing king. And then we've got Quirtle Keys and Mecha Maker and a few other people that do build services. So they were pretty well established. And some of them are streaming now too. So I was kind of like coming into it, and I was like, "There's not too many of us, but I'm not sure how much demand there's going to be." And it's been surprisingly consistent for me. And I think definitely the streaming side of things has helped that with the exposure and then the positive word of mouth through people in the community trying out my lube service and build service and being happy with the results. So the week or so ago, just before stream, I was like, oh yeah, we've got a bit of a lull in commissions for the minute. And I basically clear out my backlog, and I was like, I'll just take a moment to have a break and have a bit of a down week. And now this week I've suddenly got 900 switches I've got to lube, and I'm like, F. So it's that's just blows my mind that I went from that to this in like a space of a week. So, and multiple people that have been like, oh yeah, I want to get like 300 plus switches lubed or whatever. So yeah, it adds up. So I'm at the point where I'm kind of thinking I might need to say, hold off on commissions for the minute while I catch up and then open it up again. But yeah, no, it's been good. And I'm slowly getting more commissions for more interesting boards rather than just, can you desolder this for me? Or can you, fix my stuff up or things like that. So, getting the 7V through recently from a client was pretty
Putting
exciting.
the grind
So
in.
you just got to
always fun.
grind. Yeah.
It's nice when I think that's one of the great things about streaming. If you're planning to offer build service, is it does a lot of the marketing for you, because like
Absolutely. Yeah.
you can put posts on Discord, you can put posts on Reddit, but if you've got a stream that people can go to and they can watch and they can see you do what you're doing and see your process, they can trust you. And like you're saying, it can bring in the bigger builds. You can get people who are like, oh, I want them to build my hot new board.
Hey Ozzy, hope you're doing well.
There's this Aussie. Hello.
He's in the chat.
Yeah, I remember when I had 001 Anthony build my KBD 75.
Nice.
And I was this is like early 2018. And I remember being super bummed because he was like, hey, I'm done. I was like, are you not going to stream it? And he was like, it's a KBD 75. It's not hype to stream.
Great to see
This is now this sounds like I'm shitting on him. I mean, when at the time he was like one of 2 people building boards on a weekly basis. And he was trying to keep, if you build the same, if somebody built like people are probably fucking tired of seeing Squid 60 and Bacchus 60 builds, and guess what? They're going to be more coming because the PC one. But you know, if you do a KBD fans build, there's nothing wrong with KBD fans boards, but a tofu build's a tofu build. Like if you've seen
Yeah.
one, you've probably seen them all. There's, you know, if you can get, you know, maybe you might check out a different stream because of a different Switch, but I get that. But yeah, I remember being like hyped. I was like, he's gonna build his stream. That's gonna be cool, and he didn't. So yeah, that marketing's great, you know, and I get it. You
Yeah.
know, people want to see their stuff on the stream.
They do, yeah. They get really excited when I say I'm going to stream something, and they'll ask me if I'm going to stream it. And at this point, I'm kind of like, I'm looking for the content, so yes, just give me the content. But yeah, no, it's cool. It definitely does help for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how Apiary started her stream, was more of like trying to advertise the build services, and then obviously what she's built now with her, you know, talking about partnered streamers. She's partnered. She's got her show with Alex and stuff. Yeah,
the Apiary Empire.
Yeah.
So, as a streamer, as someone who's been streamed, sorry, sorry, Eric.
It's okay. It's okay.
At least I caught that one that time. How has it been? Because tons of streamers now, you have to differentiate yourself from other people. How has it been? You know, you said streaming for the content now. How's it been kind of coming up with new ways to create content? Because unless you have a backlog of builds, I mean, you know, just as much as we do, unless you have a backlog of builds and then you have to tell people, hey, you have to wait on your build. You kind of have to come up with content. So how has that been?
It's been interesting. Some weeks I've kind of been like, what am I going to do? But yeah, so as long as I've got something to build or switches to lube, I can generally find something to do. Because what I'm figuring out is the people that come back to my streams each week are there more for me for some reason than what I'm necessarily doing. Like if it's a cool build, that's awesome. But one of the best streams I've had to date was literally like a 4 or 5 hour lube marathon where I lubed switches and talked shit, ate fried chicken, and just, you know, it was one of the most bizarre streams, but also one of the best that I've had. And
can that be a shirt? Switch Doctor, eating fried chicken and talking shit.
Yeah. So yeah, like I try to make interact with chat as much as possible, and just make it more of like a hangout than, you know, this is how I lube switches. Because like you said, if you're doing the same thing over and over, it's not interesting, and you've got to differentiate yourself somehow. So yeah, it's been a bit interesting trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. I'm not sure I'm quite there yet, but I've seemed to have a bit of a community that keeps coming back, so that's all good. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, it's a really cool feeling when you start to realize that people are there for you as a personality rather than just to see what you're doing.
100%.
Yeah. So the name Switch Doctor.
Yes.
Bold name.
Switch Doctor.
Yeah.
Very bold name. Not like Switch Master. Like you didn't go for the top, like peak Switch Master or anything. But Switch Doctor, I mean, that carries some weight with it.
Yeah, I did consider that. But my main reasoning for going with it is, so my day job, I'm a vet, so play with all the fluffy animals. It's not as nice as it sounds, but so, you know, I figured I could kind of do a play on that doctor with switch lubing, and that's basically how it came about. But yeah, I didn't think about the kind of gravity that name would have with it. So because it's been interesting though, but it seems to work, and people seem to like it. So I'll stick with it. Yeah,
it's clever.
That's the main idea. Yeah,
it's clever. I enjoy it.
Very nice. What have been, so you've obviously reviewed quite a bit of switches. You've looped and about to lube a lot of switches.
Yes.
What have been so you've listed off your favorite. Let's eat some fried chicken and talk shit. What have been switches that you were like, man, fuck these?
There's some. I really dislike Zeal switches. I've got to put it out there. I mean, I don't like the tactility of Zelios. I think tactility is your preference is your preference. So, some people love the tactility of it. I don't. But what annoys me about Zeal switches is the immense amount of leaf ping and spring ping. So the leaf ping with the tactiles, because I get really anal when I'm lubing switches. I want to get rid of as much of that leaf ping as I can. And particularly in the case of Xylants, where because they're silent, all you can hear is that ping. To get rid of it is really infuriating. So they're probably right up there. What else have I lubed that's annoyed me? Penguins. I have a love-hate relationship with penguins. They sound really great when they're lubed, and they kind of got that more of a thock to it than some other tactiles, which I really enjoy. But I do feel that particularly with the 63.5 gram stock spring, I feel like they're almost unusable at that weight because they do kind of, particularly as a stock switch, so you definitely have to lube them. But even when lubed, there is a little bit of catching of the stem on return, so that irks me a lot. So that's why they recommend lubing the legs of the switch stem. So yeah, like them, hate them in the same way, but I'm going to probably use them in my daily when that comes soon. But I will be spring swapping them. So basically what I say to people with that is, they sound solid, but get the 67 gram version because that's going to be a better experience for you. I don't know if they're going to be working on improving them. I'm sure they'll take the feedback from that and improve them. I think most vendors like to get feedback from their switches anyway. So as I know, AE boards with their Navy switches, the round one, really enjoyed them. They've got that long pole, kind of like ergo clear tactility, sound great, but they had a lot of leaf ping as well. And spring ping, and then they kind of went back and revised them for the most recent drop, and they've fixed that. So, they were happy to take that feedback and improve on it where they needed to. So that's really good to see. What else? They're probably the biggest ones that I can think of. But yeah, anytime I get a tactile with ping, that annoys me the most, 100%, because I have to get rid of it. It drives me mad.
I think it's interesting because as you're talking about the Zelios and just the Zeal switches in general, I feel like with how the Switch aspect of the community has moved over the past really 2 years, Zeal hasn't really done anything. Like they haven't adjusted their switches. They had the Aquas, but that I feel like that didn't really do a whole lot. Like it wasn't a new iteration. And yeah, I don't know. I feel the same way. If I was to go back to a Zelio, and specifically Xylants, also hate those a lot. I think they sound terrible. They're not good. I think that's a switch you use if you have to.
Yeah, for sure.
But I feel like we might need Zeal to come out with a V3. They need a V3 to.
Where are those
revise it a
clicky
bit,
switches, man? Well,
Yeah.
we've been waiting for like 2 years now. That was supposed to be like groundbreaking because the V2s came out and rocked the world.
Yeah,
I mean it really changed what a switch can do because this was right. I mean, it happened right before the Holy Panda rebirth.
yeah.
But
It's fall 2018 though. It's
yeah, I mean,
two and a half years ago.
I remember getting them and being like, holy fuck. Like I thought it ruined V1s.
Yeah.
Like for me at least. It going back, it's kind of funny that sometimes we go all the way forward and then we like have to take a step back to appreciate something. That's why I will never go from a very heavy tact. Like I will always go from my Zyko build to a linear build because I can't if I go from Zyko to like my Moyu Black build, I don't like it. Like I'm used to the heavy tactility. I'm like, I need to go to linear and like calm down for a while. Do a mental cool off.
I mean, so I've had a couple of commissions come through where I've had to lube or build with Telios, and like they sound great and they feel great when they're lubed. But I still feel like when you compare that to the price of some of the JWK linears now and the sound and feel you can get out of them for a fraction of the price, it's like I find it very difficult to recommend them unless you 100% love Telios and they're your favorite switch ever. So yeah, I feel like it's why because obviously you've got your Zelios are great for making Zykos. If you want to go down the path of spending all of that money.
of
I've got one
pain.
Zyco. One Zyco.
Yeah,
It
right.
feels great, but it's one. Maybe I should just put that in the escape of the squid.
There it is.
Or something.
If you don't ruin the
Um,
Switch while it's going in.
yeah, exactly. But other than that, I find it really hard to recommend them. And I really like what Gazoo's doing with their bobas as well. I think particularly in the silent side of things, they have very minimal leaf ping with the tactiles, and I really appreciate that. So
Yeah,
it makes they're much easier to lube.
I will say it's been more and more difficult because switches are coming out that are really good that I'm like, I'm not really recommending people go for Zyco. Like if you really are
Yeah.
like, it's a niche now. This is at first when I kind of figured it out, I was like, oh fuck, this is like more than a Zelio V2. Like that's what I was
Yeah.
trying to do because I still think Zelio V2 is one of the biggest bumps stock out of the box. If you're looking
Yep.
for just bump, Zelio V2 is it. And when I, after discovering that, I was like, this is great. And then now that, almost 2 years have passed since that happened, I'm like, there are a lot of switches that are perfectly acceptable
100%. Yeah.
as I feel like people sleep on blueberries. I get it because they're not as smooth and it's a very sharp bump. And it's a
I
heavy
still haven't
switch, so
tried them.
I super like understand. I've got it in this one. I'm much further away than I thought, and I pulled a muscle on my back. I've got them in this, and I fucking love the because I put 89 gram springs in it, and it rounds it out
Nice.
super nicely. But I say 89 gram springs, and people go, "What the fuck?"
I mean, I
Like,
literally
get
just
it.
kind of laughed. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, but the thing is that the blueberries are a tactile profile that a lot of people don't necessarily like. The more
sharp.
sharpness, they want a more long round bump, which is why things like the Holy Panda and even the Zyco are so popular.
Yeah.
They look for that more roundedness, and people in chat are saying Moyu Blacks. I really enjoy the Moyu Black as well.
Yeah,
I think it's
I've
a
got
great
them.
switch.
Moyu Blacks and my squid. Like Moyu Blacks are great. I really like the T1, the Dark Ambers. I put Halo. I like them a little more with Halo stems in them.
Mhm.
And then we haven't talked about this. I'll show more off tomorrow. I got some mail. It's funny. I like drug out all my mail like out of habit, and then I was sitting there and we were talking. I was like, "Fuck, we're not doing mail time right now." I've gotta keep. But I got something from Kinetic Labs, and I was very curious to try. I feel like thank you, Kinetic Labs. He sent these to us free of charge because he's insane, and I love him. Kibonbon's the man.
Cool what he's doing for the community.
Yeah.
Gotta say. Even though I just trash talked his penguins a little bit. Sorry, Kinetic
I
Labs.
mean,
It's
penguins are not
constructive criticism.
the penguins are not the best switch that he is selling right now. And they're not, I don't even know if they're in the top. They might be in the top 3. But honestly, Gateron yellows are such a solid buy that I don't even think penguins are in the top. They're barely in the top 5 because they've got Yak, they've got the polar Yaks. But I got the salmon switch. So this is a very, come on, focus.
No.
It's like this is a little more orange showing off of my camera. It's definitely more of like a peach and then a pink with a white stem. Pretty damn tactile. And it's a little high pitched. Granted, these are unlubed. It's got the two-stage springs. I like them. Out of the box, I'm like, they didn't take well to the heavier springs, and that's where I have a hard time finding switches that will take to a heavier spring that I will enjoy. But I'm also just kind of saying like, well, fuck it. Like, I guess I'm just going to start building boards with lighter springs now because I'm running out, running out of switches that can handle it. But ooh, that's a good question for Stanky Stiff. What board do you guys have had the most regret not joining the group? Mine, I know mine, hands down. Do you
In
know
7V.
mine? 7V.
But I got lucky with an extra, so thank God.
So one that you do not have. What's one that you wish you had?
Man.
Ooh.
You go, because I need to think about this for a second.
Do you know mine? Because mine's easy. I talk about it all the time.
I don't remember. I'm trying to think through.
Grid
Oh,
600.
Grid 600. Yeah.
100%. I'm still mad that I don't own one of those.
Is it okay if it happened like when I was kind of in the community, but not really? Can we make that count?
Sure.
Because I'm going to go back with an old one that I didn't get in on the round 2 because I wasn't happy with all of the offerings. And that's the M65A. I know it was a shit show. I know it was hard, but man, I still to this day would love either I want the champagne gold top with a nylon bottom M65A with a PCB that is not fucked up. But yeah, I love that board. When I first got in the hobby, I almost bought it like 3 times. There's a couple different revisions. They had a Tiffany blue one, which was really cool. They had a purple and a red one that came out, and then they had a 2 gray ones, like grayish blue ones that came out, but none of them had the nylon bottom, which is something that we haven't seen really since. But that would be a board that I would have loved to have gotten, and I don't think that'll ever happen in that same capacity.
Oh yeah. I think if I had to say one that I don't have and I wish I'd been able to get in the group by, probably the Andromeda TKR. That looks like it's going to be really sick. I know one of the Aussie builders streamers he's got one coming, so I'll definitely be watching that. But yeah, that was an expensive TKL, very expensive. So I just saw the price, it was like, yeah, nah. But I reckon that'll be a really nice board when it does come out.
What
Absolutely.
color variations do you wish more boards would come with? I don't know. That's tough because I've gotten into Cerakoting, which makes me like, yeah, well, if I'm not happy, I'll just fucking fix it myself. I don't know. That's a tough one. Not a
I'm
lot
really
of
liking
green.
purple
Not a lot of
boards at the
green
moment.
board. Not a lot of good bright.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's that forest one, like the KBD. I mean, you know, the KBD 8X that I got. I was super unhappy with that green.
Mhm.
Not a lot of like rich green, but people don't like green in this hobby.
Yeah.
Warm thoughts. Hello.
The new TGR board that's going
Oh, the is it the Tomo?
Tomo, I think is what it's called. Yeah, that one's going
Yeah.
to be in like an olive green. Which looks
There
pretty
it
good.
is.
I think I may try to get it. I was looking at it the other day and I was like, do I go for this? Do I try to get it? Yeah,
I think it's unlimited though, so
it's
I'm
like
pretty sure.
it's
Is it?
like not it's like unlimited but not really. It's like they call it
Okay,
like the
like a soft
human cap.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have a number that they're gonna stop it at. I don't know. No one knows what that number is except for them, and so we'll see how easy it is
Yeah.
to get, or see if it randomly will just hit it because it's the first like TGR board since the Jane V2CE that's come
Yeah.
out. So,
There it is.
man,
So
I'm trying to think
quickly moved the salmon switch.
What's a color combination that I wish was more prevalent? I think I'll go back to it. Champagne gold. We've lost the champagne gold. Like everyone got on the rose gold train. We lost the champagne. Give me the true gold color.
Actual gold. I like it. Because I remember we had Eric and I had TX boards that were
the brothers.
There were the brass and copper finish.
Ooh, I'm gonna change my
and they
answer.
were really cool. All right, let's hear it.
Mao white.
Oh, Mao white, yeah.
Mao finishes are cool.
They are very cool. I like, I've talked about this. Another reason I like Cerakoting is I don't like when a board is shiny. I think when it's shiny, it can change the way a key set looks on a board. I'm speaking specifically of, I want my board to look the same in the daytime and in the night.
Yeah.
For the most part, I understand that light's going to make things look a little different, but for the most part, if something's more of a matte finish, it's going to look the same. Whereas some grays will look silver, and then and then maybe during the evening when there's not as much light hitting it, it will look, black. And then at nighttime, you might have lights hitting it, and then it's looking light gray again, and it's hard to like put. I had a gray board that I put 9s on, and I just hated the way it looked because the board kept changing color.
Yeah.
So
there's a large segment of the community that doesn't even know what Mao, like a Mao white finish looks like, or
Yeah, I'd have no idea.
yeah. I'm like, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I can't remember the last time Mao white was
huge.
offered.
Like 3 years ago, everyone was like, "Give me a fucking Mao white." Yeah, it is a very light gray.
It's probably more popular now. How do you spell that?
It's MAO. It's MAO white.
Yeah, it's a really unique.
The first thing that comes up is keyboards.
Absolutely. But no, I like the shade Zelio because I do feel like, you know, I'm starting to feel like Zelio's kind of, you know, they're solid, but just with, you know, with the options that are out there, and then fucking just feeling these, I'm like, fuck, these are. I would choose these. I mean, just putting a little lube on these fixed that noise, and now it's nice and dark. And you know, it's making me realize how obsolete the old. I mean, even fucking holy pandas. I'm in no rush to go make more holy pandas.
Yeah, I feel like if someone said to me, "Oh, I want to make holy pandas or buy some from Drop," I'd probably say, "Look, you know, get some U4Ts because, as I said, they're solid. They've got a similar kind of bump. They've got the long pole thing going on, and very little leaf ping. Really easy to lube. So 100%. And I think they're better than the Glorious Pandas as well. I think the Glorious Pandas are a bit cheaper, but I did find with them that again they have a lot of leaf ping, and I found that some of them, or most of them, I could fix that with lubing behind the leaf. That's kind of like my go-to technique for tactiles with ping. I typically use 204 for that. I find 203 sometimes too light. But I found with them, there was always a few that I couldn't get sounding good. So I pretty much say to people, you know, Glorious Pandas are fine, but get more than you need and then cherry pick them to get them sounding as you want, if that bothers you. Whereas, because I'm the kind of person that, particularly in a metal plate, if there's ping, I'm just like, that's all I hear. So has to go. But U4Ts, I'd recommend above making your own holy pandas any day. Because when I made my holy polar pandas, probably worked out to like $200 for the 100 I made. So it's like hard to justify when you do. I'm like, I'm glad I did it once, but I probably won't do it again. Just not.
Yeah, I feel like the Glorious Pandas have been relatively inconsistent with the Switch. There's been a lot.
Yes.
I've heard that a lot.
Yep.
Ooh, man, Stanky Stiff coming out with the fire questions. I love it. What is your worst nightmare story with a vendor? Don't disclose vendor if you want.
I really have one yet.
I have one. 100%.
Because I've had situations where like I've been sent the wrong Switch, or like say I ordered H1s and alpacas and I just got 200 H1s, which turned out to be a nice accident because turns out I don't like alpacas and I love H1s. So that worked out well, but I haven't had anything really more than an issue of that. So far so good. We'll see. I'm sure there's time for it.
What's yours?
TKC.
Oh yeah.
The fuck green was that? That was not mint green. All right, come on. I mean,
yeah, I would have been
everyone knows I don't like them, but they're not getting any more of my money, especially after fucking PBT Pesto Rainbow. Like, not.
That's fair.
It's, yeah.
You did get a keycap that was made in the wrong row profile too.
I did. That was, I forgot about, man, I completely forgot about grain and then the bent spade. Yeah. I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson. But I can't. Every time I see a keycap set, or I'm like, oh, it's a cool desk mat. I'm like, oh, fucking, why it gotta be TKC? Like,
yeah, I got Islander, and I'm pretty happy with that set. Like, at least my set seems pretty solid. But based on what's happened since then, I feel like I can't recommend Infinity until they get their shit together.
Even when they do get their shit together, I'm like, it's gonna be
so inconsistent
minute before they can. They're gonna have to prove for all. When we started our vendetta against TKC, it started when grain shipped, and I remember you could probably find it. I remember me specifically saying, it's going to be like 1 or 2 key sets before, and they have the opportunity to fix their mistakes right now. But I'm going to need to see 1 or 2. Now I'm like, dude,
yeah, no, they need like 4 or 5 good ones before
they need like
you
a
can
year's
go
worth
back.
of no fuck ups before I'm like even considering buying something from them, because I'm praying for future funk. I'm praying that goes off cleanly, because it is GMK, and I know a lot of people are really excited
I've
for that.
heard it's good because I know that Switch Keys have got it in and they've shipped out their by orders. So they've got
Mhm.
extras going up on the 30th, I think. So I'm going to try and get one. But they've been, it's really exciting for them as a vendor because they've been investing heavily in trying to have stuff in stock for a while. So, like GMK Dark, for example, they had that in stock for quite a while before it sold out. And they're trying to do a similar thing with Future Funk. So I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to get what I want from Future Funk, but I hear it's really good. So fingers crossed.
The Voodoo Bear is saying some keys are the wrong colored legends.
Ah,
Interesting. Voodoo Bear, please post
okay.
links if you have pictures. I would love to find out more.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Is that from the mods? Because I
I
think
would
the mods have different
assume.
colors.
Maybe.
I would assume. I'm curious to know what the actual issue, because usually the thing is GMK is good. Like GMK.
Is it? But the thing is it in the base kit or is it in a child kit? I understand a lot more if it's in a child kit, or if it's if it's in the base kit, then it's a much larger issue than if it's in a child kit. Because like
I feel like if it was base kit, we would have heard a lot more.
Yep.
But I don't have any. I think the only issue I ever had with a vendor was Project Keyboard, and it actually almost resulted in them sending me 2 serious boards, and that was.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, it was like something with my order got weird, and then it looked like I think I wanted to add a plate, and then he accidentally like made another order, and he like made labels for both of them, and I was like, "Hey, Josh, you're about to send me 2 boards," and he's like, "Oh, thanks." It's like, he's like, "I totally would have just sent you 2." I was like, "All right," and then I think that's really it, other than like Lumina, right? So Lumina situation,
Technically not a vendor. That was more, I guess it was a sort of vendor.
Yeah. Still lost like $350. Just gone forever. But,
Dicey
so that would suck.
Noted.
What was that?
That was just I was just reading what Dicey Note said.
Okay.
As I'm sure I assumed it was not Dicky Dick Wino Don't. So, which keep streamer friends is the worst enabler in your life? Keck, I'm gonna buy see enabler. Probably Eric.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the enablers built in between the two of us. What about you, Carly?
Yeah. It's a tricky one because I feel like so the Aussie streamers I watch, I know that J Pams at the moment, he's in the process of getting his PLX prototyped and out. So he's being pretty good with his spending at the minute. So that's good. That's helping me have a bit more restraint. But I think it's not so much streamer friends, but friends outside of, because they'd be like, "Oh, I'm thinking of buying this," and they'll be like, "Just do it. You regret it if you don't." So yeah, I'd probably say that more so than streamer friends, but yeah.
If I had to give someone that wasn't Eric, it'd be Dee.
Yeah.
He's not making me buy things. He's making me make things for future boards. So I'm looking at these pictures. I'm trying to figure out where the
video
issue. Oh, okay. It's the caps lock. So the stepped caps is the correct color, but the standard caps is pink. Hopefully it's a quick issue. I don't see that. I mean, hopefully they fix it, right? It is a problem. It is an actual mess up, but that's not, I can't blame TKC for that. That's GMK, unless TKC submitted the thing wrong. But I feel like, I can't put my faith in TKC.
I don't know. It's in the child kit though, not in the base kit. So much easier problem to fix and if it's just one cap, they'll do what they did with the salty caps, and they'll just send out a cap randomly, and it'll just get to
Mhm.
your doorstep, and then you'll never know. Like I didn't know, and all of a sudden one day it just showed up. So they'll get that fixed. That's not that big of a deal. That could be a GMK thing. It could be a TKC thing, but
Even if it is a TKC thing, I imagine that wouldn't cost them anything to fix.
yeah.
Nah, they're pretty
Yeah.
easy.
So, but yeah, I mean, and yeah, for those Jeep users like myself that like the Jeep stepped caps, at least you got your correct caps. So, but yeah, it's I hope Future Funk. I think that's going to look really really good. I'm hoping to see it in person relatively soon.
Dude, they are not even trying to play with these PBT fake sets anymore. I just searched
Oh, no,
Future
right?
Funk keycap set. First thing that comes up, Banggood PBT keycap set.
I dig
Oh
it.
dear. Is it
I
with
don't.
like
I don't actually.
is it the normal colored alphas or is it the white alphas that they're trying to
It's the
sell?
white alphas.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
white
I think
alphas.
that's the better combo. I'm gonna try and get the white alphas.
Little
Yeah.
orphan cavity. I love it. Um, well, what do you have? What do you have coming up? I know you've got 900 switches staring you down, which I'm so sorry. I hate. I haven't
Yeah.
looped switches in a minute, and I'm gonna have to this week for my
Ooh.
build this Saturday. Which
Yeah.
so I'll probably wind up putting it off until Friday afternoon.
So I've got the Bear 65 to build. I'm planning on building that this Sunday, but I have to find time to lube my lavenders for that somewhere in between all the other switches I've got to do. So it could end up being a very long lube and build stream, but we'll see how we go. Um, so Carly, you're saying you were the enabler. Yes, Aussie, I'm the enabler. I've also got the portico in from Switch Keys the other day, that came in today. So I'm thinking I might do that on Saturday instead of the group buy review, depending on how much stuff is kind of on going live this week. So I'm going to compare that to the Kara and see if it's worth giving your money to TKC for that or if you should pass. But yeah, I'll be 100% brutally honest on it, so you can trust me on that. What else have I got? The daily should be coming soon, so that's pretty exciting. Tonight I'll be modding actually I got it right here. It's a Night Fox. This is the best sounding spacebar ever, guys. So we're going to try and make that sound half decent. So much rattle. What else have we got?
Yeah, I remember wanting a Night
Switches.
Fox and then not getting one because of the split backspace.
Yeah, this
irony.
one's got the split backspace. Yeah.
I don't think it comes in anything but split backspace.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good to know.
And
Because I remember when I got into
I
the
don't want
hobby.
this because I don't want to have to use a different backspace. And
Yeah. Well, when I came into the custom or the mechanical keyboard scene, I remember looking at the White Fox and wanting that. So I was kind of excited to get a Night Fox in just to see if it would have been worth my money. And now I'm kind of like, this is trash. So yeah, and we're putting silent alpacas in it, so it's going to be very obvious if that spacebar does not improve with lubing. I'm going to beat easy the shit out of it. See how that goes. So yeah, some cool things coming. What else have I got? I think I got a Kajal, I think is how you pronounce it, that All Caps sent me to assemble for him. It's just a hot swap board, but should be cool stream anyway. So yeah, a few bits and pieces. Should be cool.
There it is. Got a couple more questions. I'm digging the questions, guys. Thank you, guys
Yeah.
and girls. Are you a 100% filmer, or does the Switch whisper to you what it needs?
I don't film every switch. I tend to kind of see if there's a lot of kind of wobble in the housing or the stem before I decide, particularly if it's a new switch, before I decide if it needs filming. Because I think there definitely are switches that, if you film them, you're going to have a bad time, like your creams or black inks, particularly trying to get them into plates. I don't think that bobas need filming. I filmed them for a client recently, U4Ts, and I've done them with and without. And I think the film doesn't make a huge difference, and it's also a bit of a pain to film them just because the housing tolerance is already really good. So yeah, it's a switch by switch basis for sure.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes with stuff like that, we lose the initial idea and need for the product,
Yeah.
and it just becomes like a thing that you have to do, right?
Mhm.
Like the switch filming, it was initially because you look at especially the very early JWK switches, you could literally grab the top and the bottom and move them. It like really needed it. Those housing tolerances were terrible. Um, but
Probably because they said KBD fans on the top.
that, yeah, but but yeah, now I think like we said, we've gone so far in the last year about with switches and where the tolerance is at. I don't think you really need them quite as much as people try to push them um
Yeah, yeah.
anymore. So
Yeah. I don't film. I don't. If a Switch requires film, I'm like, all right, pass. Like,
Effort.
like
I do get
I'm
pretty
not going to
excited when
film.
I don't have
And
to.
there are plenty of other Switches that I like. That, like, I mean, we're talking about Switches just getting better and better. I
Yeah.
spring swapped my lavenders. That's all I did. I didn't lube. I didn't think they'd need it. I use it every single day. Sounds great, feels great, super smooth.
Yeah, I'm really excited to put lavenders in my bear. I think that's gonna be pretty cool.
I think if I lubed them, all it would have done is hurt the sound.
Yep, that's fair. Yeah, I think if I'm gonna lube them, but I'll probably be pretty light and I tend to lube switches fairly lightly anyway. I feel like you should be able to see like a sheen of lube, but if you're caking it on there, you're doing something wrong. So that's my general kind of philosophy with lubing switches. So same with the Duroc Pom linears. They're ridiculously smooth. Like I feel like you could almost do with just oiling the springs and they'd be solid. Even lubing them, they almost felt too smooth. So because I like to feel like the characteristic of a switch a bit as well. Like you don't want it to be a scratchy mess, but the reason you buy one switch over another, I feel like, is because of how it feels or how it sounds, and lubing disguises some of that if you're not too careful. So, yeah, I've got the Duroc Pom tactiles in. They're actually kind of cool looking. I think All Caps might have been the first vendor to get them in. So this little
Oh
yellow
yeah,
stem.
the gray and
Yeah,
yellow, which is
they've
weird
got
seeing a yellow stem be a tactile switch.
yeah,
yeah,
hurts my
for
brain a little
sure.
bit.
Yeah, so they've got quite a lot of. I don't know if I can get that to focus. Camera. There we
There it
go. So yeah, they've got quite a lot of ping. I think most of it is spring ping, so oiling should fix that. But they're so smooth stock, like for a tactile. So pretty keen to try these out. Actually, I might chuck these in the Portico on Saturday and combine that review with the Portico review. So it could be interesting.
And
Maybe even
there
try
you
them stock. Yeah,
there you
it's
go.
hot
Warm
swap. It's easy.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Answering questions for warm thoughts before he even asks them. So
Planning a build. Yeah, there we go. Combine it. Try and do everything at the same time. So the Colboats Mech Molo, they're very similar to the basically are the Duroc Poms, but I believe they have a progressive spring possibly instead of the standard spring that the base Duroc Poms have. So I imagine they'd be pretty awesome as well. Slow spring? Okay.
there
Yeah,
it is.
so they'd be pretty awesome.
So Stanky Stiff asks, do you guys plan your stream or do you usually wing it with what you have? Are you talking about like our stream or build streams or
We can just answer all of it.
All right.
You want to go
I
first?
kind of have an idea of what I'm doing, but then I just kind of just see what happens during the stream because anything can happen when you're live streaming. So it's kind of hard to plan, I feel like.
Yeah.
Probably the short answer.
Yeah. I think it's having like a baseline, a framework. I feel like we've talked about this before, at least with our talk shows. We used this stream, the interview stream used to be extremely structured. Like we had written down questions that we would go through back and forth, and it just felt stiff. It felt a little bit it felt like we were trying to make a podcast on Twitch, which is cool to have a podcast, but it's not really what it's not why we're on Twitch. We're on Twitch because we want to be interactive. We want to react to the
100%.
chat and like get the interactions with everyone. So we changed that. So it's more of just we have baseline questions that we kind of always ask, and then we just kind of go from there. And the stream can change based on things. If something big happens in the community, we might talk about that in an interview stream. That might be the topic that we kind of go through. And then as far as like Tuesday streams, I don't know if you want to answer about Tuesdays.
Tuesdays typically, say 9 times out of 10, I'll come to Eric, and I'll talk to Lang and Keeb Noob throughout the week, and I'll kind of keep an eye on, I talk to them about what's happening. I keep an eye on what's happening. I do try and at least every couple days hit up the Reddits and Discords of like just a quick scan, see what people are talking about. Usually Discord is where you're going to find what's happening the quickest. And I'll just message Eric and go, hey, this is what sometimes literally, we'll go, hey, this happened. And I'll explain to Eric what happened 5 minutes before stream starts. And then, and we know each other enough. Like, I think it works really well, and you'll see it more on interview streams. We know each other enough how to take an interview and turn it into a conversation.
Yeah.
There are certain questions that everyone wants to know, and you have to get those out of the way. And you can actually go and watch it, and it happens about 25 to 30 minutes into us being live. Usually it's fast forward, and then it's 4 or 5 questions, and then it pivots. And you usually just have to feel out when the pivot happens. And then all of a sudden, then you're just fucking talking. But
then comes the fried chicken.
Yeah, then comes the fried chicken. Absolutely.
And then the
pat on the
shit.
back is that we and the fried chicken talking shit. And the pat on the back to ourselves is that this is just something that we've done so much that we've gotten good at turning an interview into a conversation basically on a dime with just like a quick anecdote or a question or a statement. And then that just gets people riffing. And I think the whole stream is basically just a riff between 3 people. So, the streams that are fun are the ones where one of us is like super out of it, and then the other person carry it. Those are the ones where you're like, fuck.
Or when
those
we're
are the
like,
ones that are you're on your toes.
Or when we're like both like really upset about something and passionate about like that one. Those are fun too.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like a framework is planned, but it's not like, oh, we have to do this, oh, we have to do that. I feel like when we did that, it was a lot more stiff. Now it allows the stream to breathe a little bit more. And I think for like our guests that come on, a lot of times it's a little bit easier because it's more of a conversational rather than like I'm interviewing you. Answer my questions.
And you'll even see it. I'll point to Kimchi Jody Boy because I know he can take it. It was very stiff at first. It was structured, and during the structured part, he did not like it. But when we pivoted, next thing you know, it's 10, 15, and you're like, kind of with Huey too. The same thing happened with Huey. Now he wasn't stiff, but when the second you pivot, you lose track and you start losing track of time. You're like, oh, this is, like last week we literally had to cut off because I was like, we have to be responsible. And Huey, the 3 of us could talk for hours and hours and hours on end. So it's just finding that time it's finding the hardest part about streaming with interviews is you have to get to know the person. If you don't know them already, you have to strike up some sort of familiarity and what's the word I'm looking for? Cohesiveness in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
And that can be difficult. But if I have a superpower in this world is making people feel like they're my friend in about 5 minutes.
That's a handy thing to have if you're streaming. So.
Yeah. But that's probably just because I was too friendly with people growing up. It's like, I was like, don't talk to fucking strangers, Dave. Jesus. David.
That's
my mom's
a
one of the
handy
3 people that call me David.
was gonna say it's a handy thing to have as a teacher as well. Being
Yeah.
able to, make people feel like your friend quickly.
And you're like, we're buddies, but
But do
keep
what I
it
tell you.
Except
do
for
it.
I was about to say, except for when that flips on its head and you have to discipline them, and they're like, "I thought you were my
You're like,
friend."
I thought you were cool. I usually get that one. It's like, I thought you were cool. I'm like, I'm not. Ask my friends. They don't think I'm cool. So do we have, I think we had one more, I thought maybe. There it is. Spring question. Still asks, after years of getting used to MX clears, I find them slightly fatiguing still. So would dropping those tasty 89-gram springs Chewy keeps talking about be significant, or should I go a bit further at 85 grams MX Black Springs? Was a nice sweet spot for what it's worth. Doctor, I've talked too much, so let's hear. I don't know, what's your experience with heavier springs?
The heaviest what are in MX Clears? So I have used MX Clears, I
I
don't
think
mind
those are
them.
80.
Okay, yeah, so 80
I
is the heaviest I've
remember.
gone. I put 80 in my FFF switches. I really enjoyed them, but I'm liking heavier switches in tactiles as well, personally. I put 75 long springs in my Holy Pandas, and they're good fun. So, but I think particularly with if you're talking about tactiles, I feel like it's almost like it's less intense or less fatiguing with the heavier spring, if that makes sense. Well, that's my experience with it anyway. And similar with linears, I feel like the heavier, the smoother the switch feels, whether that's actually the case or not. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So 95 gram bottom.
Yeah, I was about to say, because I think it's
Nice.
65 is
65.
actuation.
For the MX clears?
I've tried MX clears. I think the 89 gram at first will feel, now I mean it's going to be lighter for you anyway. It'll feel heavy at first. I've found that the novel key springs lighten up a little bit. Over time they'll start to kind of either you're just getting used to, either my fingers are getting too strong for my own good, but I genuinely think these springs kind of lighten up. They'll give a little bit more. They break in nicely. I think the 89 grams are great. 85 gram, if you're going like TX, those are some solid ones. I think I prefer the 89 more. But that's also because it's heavier. But now I'm like, fuck, 89 gram. I'm like, no, dude, give me 98. That's the linear I use. 98. I love it.
I mean, yeah. Their springs are pretty cheap, so that's like the good thing. Let's try them out. If you have a hot swap board, you can easily swap them in there, try them out, and then try the 85, and if pick which one you like, and then at the end of the day, you're only spending like max like $15 maybe, which is
Get a couple.
If you don't like the springs in those switches, you might like them in something else. So
Hell,
you never know.
And the other thing too is try with tactiles too. Like heavier springs and tactiles, it changes a lot of shit. It really changes. When I tell people 89 grams and blueberry switches, it's a whole new switch. It really rounds out that bump to make. And now 89 grams is heavy, and I get that, but it really does round out that bump. Or you can go, which a build I'm planning on doing in the future, 150 gram springs, because why not? And I'm mad because there's 210 gram springs, which means I'm probably going to have to go get like, I'll just have to go like, maybe I'll just buy like a razor board and spring swap.
Yeah, switch keys have the 210 springs in stock at the moment. Yeah. I was like,
I told Davis to set some aside for me. So I'm like, I need to try
Who's
it.
this for? Like, who's seeking that out, right? Like, come on.
And I love that they just bought them in specifically just to say, for those of you that are crazy enough to want these, and now that I'm always like, I want to try them just to see what it's like.
See, I want 150 gram spring, because think of how tactile you could make a switch
and not feel it still.
150, and not, I mean, you wouldn't feel it on most of the modern ones, but you could create the sharpest goddamn switch, and it would be able to reset.
That's
It
true.
would be ridiculous. I have no idea what that sentence means, Doubleday. Finger push-ups on the daily. I mean, I've always had relatively strong, like always for guitar players, I played on like 11s and 12s gauge strings, where like the average is like 9 and 8.
It's literally what Doubleday is talking about. He's talking about
Oh, okay. 14s,
using
E4. Okay,
14s.
man, I haven't seen. I used 15s on one, but that was like a full step down. I completely E4. I haven't thought about guitar strings in forever because I still have a just big box of them from Guitar Center. You got them for like dirt cheap,
dude.
So.
Yes, I have like 2 boxes of strings for my acoustic that I bought because there was like a Martin. They did like a promotion, and they were the strings that I used, and then they had to pull them all off the shelves because it was like a limited promotion. It was like for like the month of May, and then in June, and they were all $1. So I bought like 50 packs of strings, and like 3 years or 5 years later, I still have like 24 packs of them. So, but yeah, I used heavy
worry about
strings.
breaking them.
Oh yeah,
But,
yeah. No, I'm good.
I mean, test your springs. Like honestly, one of the cooler things you can do is, especially with like with novel keys, right? They've got that huge range. Like if you're getting into the hobby and you're wanting to test spring weights, specifically with linears, just go get some silk switches and then just buy like 10 different packs of the springs. Or like what I think they sell like 5 variants, and just try them all, because you might be surprised,
100%.
especially if you like tactile switches. What I will say is, if you like tactiles at like 67, you might actually really like linears at 70. Or if you like, or even 89, you might like it because tactiles will feel heavier. In my experience, it will feel a little bit heavier. So like if you're wanting something similar, if you're like Switch Doctor here, who likes both, dabbling in both, you might like it a little bit heavier, so it kind of feels closer.
Sure. I always recommend to new people in the hobby to 100% get a hot swap board. Not just because if you're new, you're not sure if you want to spend the money on a soldering station or anything yet, but also because when it comes to trying out different switches and then you get down that rabbit hole of spring weights and everything, it's so easy for you to experiment with different things and find out what you like and what your preference is. I like switch testers are great, but I think particularly for getting a feel for a switch, you need to put it in a board and actually use it rather than just try one switch, because the way it feels when you're just using one switch compared to actually typing on it is hugely different. So 100% get a hot swap, and like Chewie was saying, silk switches, swap out the springs. That would be a really solid thing to do, and do what you prefer.
And the value of keeping that hot swap board for later to use it to break in switches or like test out lube combinations is huge too. That's like one thing that I am excited because I've got a Bakaneko coming, and I'm finally going to have a board that is dedicated, because right now I have like my Sirius, I have another plate and a PCB that I can do that with, but not everything likes to go in a palm plate real easy, and it's not the greatest plate to use for that. But an FR4, it's a little bit stiffer, and I can use that for that. So
yeah, I was because one of the first customs I got was a KBD 67 Mark II in polycarb, and so that was hot swap. Yeah, and I love that board, but I recently sold it to someone in New Zealand, and they were super stoked, and they were a newbie to the hobby, and I was like, hey, I'll just chuck in a bunch of Gateron yellows for you that are lubed, and then you just need to find keycaps and you're good. Then when I got rid of it, I was like, oh my god, I need a hot swap board to test switches in. So that's what the Kara is for me now. And I'm not going to use it as a daily driver or anything. I think it's solid for the price and what it is. But just to have that board to test switches out in again is really good. It is a polycarb plate, so it'd be interesting to see how much of an impact that has. But yeah, I think everybody should have a hot swap board just for that purpose.
One of my wife's squid I use frequently as a hot swap build just because she really likes her Bower. But I'll use that, and it's, you know, and the good thing there is I can put in like 7 switches, and I'm like, okay, I know how these are going to sound. I
Yep.
don't need to build because I'm so used. I know exactly how this board is.
Yep.
But yeah, I still I highly recommend, you know, get a hot swap, hold on to it, because it's so useful, and your, you know, people's preferences will change over time, and switches will come
It's been
out.
saying it.
Oh, pupper, quick visit from the pupper. Your preferences will change over time, and you'll, you know, want to try something new. New switches will come out. I recommend,
Yeah.
I know that this could be difficult, but find someone who has similar tastes in switches as you too.
Yep.
Because like, so mine for me is a great friend named Grindbox. He and I have very similar tastes in switches, because then you're able to recommend different ones and go, hey, it's a little different, but it's, you know, it's because there's a extremely high possibility that somewhere in the world has basically the exact same switch preferences as you do. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is Finn Warm Thoughts.
any
He
clicky
wants
stance
cuddles.
in chat. Absolutely. I want a good clicky switch to come back out.
It's dead, dude. It's been too long. It'd have to be insane. It would have to be so good.
It would have to thok. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It would have to be like,
Clicky.
Dude, that would be sick,
Someone
though.
please make that. I would use that 100%.
Just like a super deep click.
like somehow
That would
make
be
it
awesome.
like the plastic is slapping plastic as opposed to like metal. So it's just deep.
Can we
like,
get it to say sheesh for the kids? Sheesh! Sheesh!
Who was it? I think it was oh, why am I going to like Sody Caps? They're talking like their kid uses box jades for like online school. Like that's
man.
That's a bold move. So guys, if you have any more questions for Switch Doctor AU, please ask away. So, but I was excited to get you on because, you know, it's, when I first mentioned it to you, I was like, I hope we can do this.
Yeah. It just works out really well that my work roster recently changed to give me Wednesdays off, because that's quite convenient. How can I stop my dog eating food off the bench? Yeah, I haven't figured that out yet.
Spray bottle.
Get a problem. One Aussie is you have a Labrador.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Oof.
His Labrador is really cute too. Very friendly.
How can I get my cat to love me?
That is decided the day you get it. Like,
yeah.
it decides. It's like, now you're the person that puts food in a bowl that I eat. I am the ruler of this house.
We got to treat the puppers, so
okay.
you can do a try treat.
Let me go.
There it is. Howie, come here. Try. Come here. Hey, come here.
Oh God, I need to bum now.
Come here. He's like looking at my wife like, what am I supposed to do? I don't get in your lap, I get in her lap. Come on. Come here. Howie, come here. Come here. Oh, you're being a baby.
You can't even see him. There we go. Move the camera back.
Your breath stinks. Whoop, you're burping now. You just burped twice. Get some ASMR.
Is good? Good dog?
Ugh.
He took it from me and he's like, wait, you didn't say take it, so he put it on the ground.
I'm gonna steal it, but I'm not gonna eat it. It's free to steal. If you don't do anything with it, then I'm not being bad.
Not sure where the beagle is. She just missed out.
No, it happened.
She's
we
probably
could
sleeping.
hear the beagle if the beagle
Yeah,
wanted to.
she was snoring so loud last night while I was streaming that I could hear her from the other end of the house with my headphones on. I was like, snoring? All
That's
she does is sleep.
All right, bub. Go to bed.
Thank you. Past. That was from past __. Lots of underscores. He looked at me like, you realize that means nothing to me. So, well, thank you, Switch Doctor, very much
No
for
worries.
joining
Thanks
us.
for having me.
It's been a
It's
lot
been
of
good fun.
fun. Before we get, just letting y'all know, keyboard of the week, Marquee May, still going on. Write us a message on your keyboard. Just make sure it's Twitch appropriate. It is in the KOTW channel on the Discord. So get those submissions, and we will be doing that tomorrow on stream. And a quick shout out to our awesome sponsors and partners. We have got a couple things going on with our awesome sponsors and partners. OmniType, first up, we've got GMK DualShot going now through the June 4th. So just a little over a week on that. So be sure to go grab that, as that is a very awesome set. A lot of people like it. Project Keyboards, they did announce that Bingsu is being delayed a little bit. They're redoing some of the kitting on that, so we should see that soon. So be on the lookout. We'll be sure to announce it here as well. And I believe they still have some Siriuses left if you want a Sirius. Canon Keys has lots of stuff on right now. They got lots of keyboards, lots of caps. So canonkeys.com/mexondeck. They've got GMK beige and white on black, the UWU kits. They've got the Obliterated 75. They've got the Savage 65 polycarbonate. They've got the Devastating TKL. They still have Sugar Plum up there. It looks like the lavender switches are sold out, but the dark T1 amber switches and the coffee chip switches, which I believe the coffee chip switches are going to be the switches I'm using Saturday. I'm 99% sure I'm going to use those. So great
I think
stuff.
I have some of them coming in to try.
They're fun. They're a fun switch. They're a little light and they don't take super well to heavier springs, but I think I'm just gonna. This is kind of my typewriter build, which is.
Oh, nice.
Quick
That
show
looks
off.
awesome.
I'll show that off in just a moment. So check that out, and then we got Kinetic Labs. They've got awesome switches. They've got lube. They've got keycaps. They've got containers for all of your switches and lubes and keycaps. They've got the Hippo linears that I'm really digging on. They've got the Salmon tactiles switches, and they've got some more switches that we'll announce tomorrow. That I was told I can't announce until today, but I will announce them officially tomorrow here as well. But really, if you like a good tactile switch, I mean, $36 for 70 switches. That's a solid. They are. I will say it's a unique color choice. It might not be for everybody, but at least you'll be putting keycaps on them, and you might not be able to. Hopefully, you're not able to see them. Be sure to check out that though. Kinetic Labs .store/mexondeck. What are our partners?
Yeah, so first up, Zap Cables. Head on over to zapcables.com. Pick yourself up a DIY kit. Build yourself a cable. It's definitely an experience, but we've got a video to help you out. They've also got some cool desk mats over there if you want a desk mat that's a little bit shorter, but also longer. Check theirs out. Type Beast, go to typebia.st. Sign up for their newsletter. Comes out every few weeks, and you can be in the know with what's happening in the community, get some more thoughts and opinions about what is happening, which is always fun. And then Smith and Rune, they got the Iron 165 Polycarb edition, the in-stock version of it will be coming out here soon, so you definitely want to stay in touch on that. Also, you can get some sweet merch. And then last but not least, 3D Keybs. I believe that Davis is still on vacation currently. Saw some snaps of dancing in cars, enjoying the vacation. So I know that she's enjoying herself. But check out 3D Keybs. They got tons of stuff over there. They got marshmallow switches. They've got, I can't even say this switch, but it's by Thick Thok.
Is it the Compito one?
Yeah, that one. That's how you say it.
I love them.
Ooh. Nice.
in nylon plate. So good old profit.
Ooh, fancy.
Not with the razor greens at the minute, but no, they're pretty much like marshmallows, but they have this it's like a longer pole stem, and the stem is a different material. As I understand, it's got some other fancy thing in it. But they're really nice. Highly recommend.
Absolutely. So check those out, as well as all the other stuff they got over there on 3D Keeps. So they got tons of stuff. So check them out. Chewy, you're muted.
Tomorrow, I was moving my microphone and completely forgot. My apologies. Also slurping water. But tomorrow we will be back 8 p.m. with our typical Tuesday show. We just moved it to Wednesday. So, I mean, technically for you, we are still doing the interview on Wednesday.
Yes.
So you are living in the future right now.
Yeah. Does it look bright? Is the future going to be good?
It's overcast.
That sounds
Melbourne
about right
weather.
for you.
It'll
Sounds
probably
about right
be
for here.
sunny by 3 o'clock or something.
So, and then Saturday, I will be building this behemoth. Very excited about the Saturn 60. This guy's chunk. I'll show this more off in detail tomorrow, but I will be building that alongside Lang building his Saturn 60 as well. So that'll be a fun build. Let's see, who do we got on today? Who is on?
Let's see.
Do we have any Australian streamers? I don't know all of them, so
I don't think there is anyone Aussie streaming at the minute by the looks of it. Probably all at work.
that's
Also true.
It
It's the
happens.
middle of the day.
Yes.
Absolutely
would make sense.
What do we have? We got a glorious build. We have a Matrix build. Tiny's playing Apex Legends. What do we want to do? Let's do the glorious build. So this is the Asian JC. I think we've done this before. Let me set it on up here. So thank you very, very much, Switch Doctor. Thank you very much for coming on the stream. Always a pleasure. I've enjoyed your streams quite a bit in the last few months, especially. So guys, check her out, ! Guest in the chat. Go follow her. Let's get her up to like 600. All right, let's get her up to like 600. Let's get that up. So go give her the follow. She's got awesome content. Saturday nights typically here in the States for her on the weekly. The other ones you might have to catch, or at least catch the VODs on. She does some great stuff. But thank you very much for coming on.
No worries. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Absolutely. Well, we're closing it up tonight, and we will be back again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central. So thanks again for stopping by, and thank you again, Carly, for hanging out with us.
No worries.
And we will see y'all tomorrow.